page 10. Turn back to page 8 as we welcome Shabbat. We come to this space for so many different reasons. To give a name, a Hebrew name, to a baby tonight. To be here to celebrate a reunion from people who might have gone to Israel just last Shabbat. I know you missed some people, so you need to come and see them. To mark a recent death or an anniversary of a loved one's death, or just to be in community. I'm so glad that we can celebrate Shabbat together. So on page 8, we read, I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other, to work to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created, and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illumine all of us, and to bring that vision to life. We continue on page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hashari, Malachei Elyon. Imelech, Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch
have just welcomed the Sabbath bride, I invite you to welcome someone you do not know. So you might have to get out of your pews or chairs, introduce yourself, wish each other a Shabbat Shalom, ask them how they are.
I always get out of breath. I need a breath. Get out of breath. Especially when you're playing.
We turn to page 28 for the Baruchu, and we remain or rise for the call to worship. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'arim aravim b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim u'bibuna meshaneh itim u'machalif et hazmanim u'mesader et hachochavim b'mishroteim ba'akir kirtzono borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or Uma'avir yom u'bein layla, Uma'avdil bein yom u'bein layla, Adonai tzavaot shemo, El chai v'kayam, Tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv aravim. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please be seated.
V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'beitecha u'lechtecha v'derech u'shokbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha u'v'tavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם
We just chanted words about teaching values to our children. And So now we get to teach and give a child a Hebrew name. So I'm going to invite up Finn and his mom and dad and brother and sister to join us up here as we get to give Finn a name this evening. And all of you have in your packets some parts for you to share with us as well. Everyone's jealous of your outfit, I think, too. Pretty cute. So join us up here. So we say, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Blessed is he who comes here in God's names. We rejoice together. A child has come into our lives. We rejoice as we welcome this child into the Brit, the covenant between God and the Jewish people. Our God and God of all generations, we thank you for many blessings, for this joy of child, for Torah and mitzvot, for companionship and love, for warmth of family, for the joy and sacred pilgrimage of parenthood. We thank you for the gift of your Torah that has always been a light on our path, enhancing our life with meaning and helping us to reflect the divine image in which we were created. Our God, source of all life, grateful for this gift of life, Bonnie and Alistair now come to thank you and to ask your guidance in the upbringing of this child. Grant to these parents wisdom, patience, and devotion, that they may raise their child to live in accordance with your wisdom. We're going to share that together.
Blessed with the gift of our Son, we rejoice now with gratitude to God. We celebrate his entry into the Jewish community. We now link his destiny to that of our people, Israel, here and throughout the world, now and throughout history. In the presence of our family and friends, we now joyfully bring our Son into the covenant of Israel. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kedishanu b'mitzvotah v'tzivanu l'chanusa b'vrit shel am Yisrael.
Beautiful.
We praise you, Lord, our God, ruler of the universe, who makes us holy with our commandments and commands us to bring our Son into the covenant of our people Israel.
All right, so Finn, now we get to give you a Hebrew name. All right, and you get some Jews later too. Yeah, you're right. So we say Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Kayem es hayeled hazeh Ba'aviv u'imo vayikra shemo b'Yisrael Melech Agel ben Benyamina ve'Alistair Yismach ha'av beyotzei hara'atzav v'tagel imo b'fri bitna. Our God and God of our mothers and fathers, sustain this child through his parents' loving care. Let it be known among our people Israel by the name of Melech Agel ben Benyamina ve'Alistair. May his name be a source of joy to him and inspire him to serve our people and all humankind. May his parents rejoice in his growth of body and soul as they brought him into the covenant. So may they, with the wisdom and patience, lead him to study of Torah, to a life of good deeds, and to a marriage worthy of God's blessings. And let us say, Amen. And so we're going to hear a little bit about Finn's Hebrew name.
So, hi. I know in Judaism, when you give a child a name after someone who has passed, it is believed that the child will emulate all of their best qualities. My cousin Morgan passed about a year and a half ago. And Finn has her middle name, Morgan. His name is Finley Morgan. And she was loving, she was giving, and she was the type of person who was happy for everyone else, no matter her own circumstances. She was never jealous or mean. She was the epitome of kindness. She loved to have fun, and she was the life of the party, always making sure everyone else joined in and had a good time. She was also the type of person who was always there for you whenever you needed her, no matter what. Each time I say Finn's middle name, and now his Hebrew name Melech, I am reminded of Morgan and all her beautiful qualities, and know Finn will possess these qualities as well. In fact, I already see it when he grabs the other children's hands, and I see how outgoing he is and friendly. It reminds me of Morgan every time. We also decided to give Finn a middle name tonight for another very special person in our lives who we lost at a very difficult time during COVID. Finn's great-grandmother, Angela, was one of the most incredible people I have ever met. And by naming Finn for her tonight, we hope that he embodies all of her amazing qualities. She was kind and loving and always put her family first. She was a hard worker who taught her children and her grandchildren the importance of hard work and dedication. She was a woman of faith and believed that God would always take care of her and her family. I am happy that in passing down her name and her memory to Finn, we can see him emulate these qualities as well. We will tell Finn all about these wonderful qualities Morgan and Angela possessed and keep their memories alive through him.
So, sweet moments like these, we like to have a little kiddush to mark this moment. So please join with me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. And I'm going to invite up Grandma Cheryl and Great Aunt Nancy to join us for a special blessing. So a blessing in honor of Finn.
Okay. Yep. Our God and God of all generations, we are grateful for the new beginnings, for the bond of life that links one generation to another. We are thankful for the blessings of family, which brings meaning and happiness to our lives, and rejoice with our children as they bring our grandson into the coming. May we all grow together as a family in health, in strength, and in harmony, in love.
Amen. And so we get to wrap your family. You'll be fine. Come on a little closer. Come on a little closer. We're gonna end. We'll wrap your entire family, and we'll say a blessing for Finn this evening. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine upon you and be gracious to you. And may God grant you the greatest gift of good health and peace. And together we say, Amen. Amen. Say Mazel Tov. We continue our service on page 158. Who is like you, O God, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? Together your children witnessed your sovereignty. Page 40, the sea splitting before Moses and Miriam. This is our God. They cried, Adonai will reign forever and ever. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ga'al Yisrael. Page 42.
Shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat lidorotam, berit olam, beini
Rise for the Amidah, page 46.
That my mouth
silently to page 62, either using the words of our Siddur or the words of your heart. When you're done praying, I invite you to be seated.
May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. 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 Descend on us, and the world will say Amen. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen. Oh, say Shalom, Bimromav, Uyaseh, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'yavo Yisrael, Ve'yakol Yoshvei Tevel. Amen. Amen. Ve'yakol Yoshvei Tevel. May the one who makes peace in the heavens descend on us, and the world will say Amen.
We turn to page 253 as our thoughts turn to a prayer for healing.
Mikor habracha, ve'olim
So maybe it was your birthday this past week, John Israel. You can join us on the Bima. Maybe you had an anniversary. And maybe you came back from an amazing trip to Israel. You should join us on the Bima as well. Maybe you passed your deep water swim test at camp. Maybe something good happened to you this past week. Join us
Would a
on the
Hebrew
Bima.
would a new Hebrew name count?
Yeah, if you want to come back again, maybe something good happened this past week. So if you want to share some sweetness, please join us on the Bima. Maybe a new home, maybe a something else. Ben, you came to Israel. You came back safely. So awesome. Now I'm going to invite everyone else to rise as we.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, b'ratzav banu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava u'ratzon, imchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh bereishit, ki hu yom tehillah le'mikra'e kodesh, zeher litziat mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol.
Please be seated. Thanks for joining us. Last Friday, 500 members of the Greater Metro West community sat in the new Remembrance Hall for the fallen soldiers of Israel on Mount Herzl. The Remembrance Hall was designed to provide visitors with both a personal and collective commemoration experience and serve as an expression of Israel's heartfelt promise: we shall remember all of them. The walls of the hall wrap around a tall torch-like structure covered by the names of the fallen, bringing together their personal stories and tying them to the history of the state of Israel. Every morning, a memorial service is held in order to honor those who fell on that specific date. Their individual stones engraved with their names and the date of passing are illuminated with the walls of the hall. At the center of the hall rests the eternal flame, a structure symbolizing our collective duty of commemoration. As we sat in the memorial hall, IDF soldiers laid a wreath to remember those who died. We sang songs of remembrance, stood for Hatikva, and had a moment of silence to remember those who have protected the state of Israel. As we exited the memorial, we started walking in through the sacred grounds of Har Herzl. And at that same time, Israelis were gathering at Har Herzl to bury an Israeli soldier, Shiloh Yosef Amir, who a day earlier was killed near the West Bank settlement of Kedumim by a Palestinian terrorist. Hundreds of Israelis gathered at his grave, many who did not know Amir, but still showed up to honor his life. Amir's father, David, said, "You were always the first to help and the last to leave. You were loved by family and friends. Your presence filled all your surroundings with joy. You were the first to combat the terrorists, and you took the fire." Our visit to Har Herzl reminded us of those lives lost when establishing the State of Israel, and those who continue to risk their lives defending the state. Earlier last week, our group of 40 Temple Emanu-El congregants had a special briefing with a retired brigadier general in Gaharj, a new village on the Lebanon border in the Golan Heights. As we listened to him speak, he pointed to Lebanon and then to Syria, and he said, as you look out at those borders, that's not Lebanon, that's not Syria, but that's Iran. The very next day, as we were traveling down south, rockets were launched towards that town. Luckily, there was no damage and no injuries, but a reminder to all of us of the geopolitical threats that Israel faces. And as Shabbat ended last week, I wandered through the streets of Jerusalem after a beautiful Havdalah at David's Tower. I wandered to the Prime Minister House, where thousands of Israelis were holding signs, Israeli flags, singing and shouting, Demokratia, democracy, and Busha, shame, in protest to the planned judicial reforms that many Israelis feel will make Israel less democratic and more of a dictatorship. These protests have been going on for over 6 months as the current government moves to pass laws that will limit the power of the judicial system in Israel and change some of the checks and balances currently in place. At the end of the rally, every protester sang Hatikva, waving their Israeli flags. The protesters are a reminder to us of the challenges facing Israel's democracy and the rights of minorities and the most vulnerable in Israel's society. Sometimes living outside of Israel, it's hard for us to understand what is happening on the ground, what the average Israeli is facing day to day. We read articles and editorials, we watch TV clips, and are inundated with social media responses. And we feel mixed emotions, and our distance sometimes makes it harder to connect. Last week, for those who traveled on Federation's Centennial Mission, we now have a greater understanding of what Israelis face on a day-to-day basis, which was a critical experience for those living outside of Israel. And in this week's Torah portion, Matot, we read about the first voluntary Jews living outside of Israel. The Israelites are on the cusp of entering the Promised Land, when two tribes, the Reubenites and the Gadites, confront Moses and say that they do not want to move across the Jordan, as the land where they are now is suitable for the numerous amounts of cattle. Moses is infuriated by their request and yells to them, "Your brothers go to war, and you stay here?" However, the Reubenites and the Gadites hold their ground and are able to appease Moses. They promise Moses that though they will not live in the Promised Land, they still will fight with the children of Israel, and they will not go back to their homes until all the Israelites possess their portion of the land. Moses accepts the promise and warns against breaking it. And there we have it, the first diaspora community supporting the land of Israel. A promise that was kept and that we will continue to keep. Yet when we feel far away from Israel, when we don't always understand the inner workings, and when we may not always agree with every political or military move of the Israeli leadership, how do we make sure to keep that promise? The first way is to remain connected. I know that all of our fellow Temple Emanu-El congregants who traveled on this mission have a greater understanding of Israel, have a greater connection to the land and the people, and recognize more the internal and external threats that Israel is facing. And my hope is that that connection does not end now that we are home, but instead sparks more interest in keeping up to date with the news stories, in better touch with the Israelis we met on the ground, and a greater ability to navigate some of the complexities we hear on a daily basis. For a community outside of Israel to honor that promise of supporting the lands, we need to seek out the knowledge as well as nurture relationships. I know our bus hopes to do that in the coming year with our sister city of Arad, with more conversations with Israelis from the ground, and greater learning opportunities for our entire congregation. And another way to keep that promise of supporting Israel is speaking out. While we don't live in Israel, I strongly believe that we American Jews still have a voice with what is happening there. We may not have a vote, but as Jews, Israel is our homeland, and we must share our concerns, support Israel when it's under attack, and make sure that our progressive Jewish ideals are being heard too. I believe in a strong Jewish and democratic country, and we have the right to share our beliefs even if we don't live there. Last Shabbat, 500 of us sat on the southern wall steps leading to the Temple Mounts. We were dressed in all white. It was a powerful, a beautiful, and moving experience to sing Kabbalat Shabbat songs together, to breathe in that Jerusalem Shabbat air, and to mark Shabbat in that spiritual space. Yet what was also moving for me about that moment was the strong community from Greater Metro West, believers of the State of Israel, who have committed themselves to being in relationship with the Holy Lands. My hope is that relationship continues to grow as we carry out that promise that we read in this week's Torah portion. We end this week's Torah portion with these words: Chazak, chazak v'nit hazeh. From strength to strength, we will all be strengthened. We continue our service on page 282. The words of Aleinu, please rise. Aleinu l'shabeach v'adon hakol, la'aseh gidula le'yoseh breshit, shelo asanu purei ha'aratzo, velo osavanu k'mishpechot ha'adamah, shelo samcha k'nukachem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachu korim, u'mishacharim u'modim, be seated. Our thoughts turn to those who have touched our lives, those who have departed this earth, those who we keep in our memory. If you hear your loved one's name this evening, I invite you to rise and remain standing. During this period of Shloshim, those who have died in the last 30 days, we remember Carol Schwartz, grandmother Brett Bushinger, and Stacy Lillian, Sloan Robinson, father of Florin Pressman, Gary Feinberg, son of Chet Feinberg, and Miriam Goslin, mother of Sabrina Kellner. On the yahrzeit, the anniversary of our loved ones' deaths, we remember Margot Apt, Erwin Aronowitz, Edward Berman, Miriam Biddleman, Nissim Billman, Jack Blumberg, Abe Botwin, Lois Bauer, Anna Brownstein, Fanny Brody, Mark Carey, George Charon, Agnes Eisenberg, Rose Alphonse, Arthur Enker, Marvin Fine, Irving Feinberg, Julius Fox, Sophie Z. Fox, Rebecca Gelfand, Joseph Glazer, Michael Goldsmith, Bryna Goldstein, Nathan Golub, Arlene Hatkin, Miriam Hornstein, Goodwin Horowitz, Zelda Kahn, Robert Katz, Fred Kaufman, Esther Klein, Albert Costa, Max Guten, Roger Levy, Pamela Levine, Aaron Levinson, Murray Levinson, Regina Lewinter, Julia Lipton, Larry Maslow, Stanley Merrer, Dorothy Meschel, Sharon Neese, Francis Olive, Milton Olive, Shirley Parker, Harry Pascal, Ala Plotkin, Marlene Plymack, John Quenzel, John Ricca, Bernard Rosenberg, Sophie Rosenberg, Leon Saltz, Zelda Sandler, Gail Schwartz, Miriam Seid, Gertrude Shapiro, Charles Tockler, Robert Sorkin, Lila Staff, Irving Steinberg, Lawrence Stern, Susan Trayman, Dorothy Uchin, Saul Warner, Manya Wessler, Robert Zemmel, Elaine Freeman, and Ken Freeman. If you are in the first year of mourning, I invite you to rise. In sacred solidarity, we rise for the words of Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad yivarach yirutei v'yamlik malchutei, v'chayechon u'v'yamechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'yisman kari v'yamru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivarach le'olam amei almaya, yibarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yinaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kedusha parichu, Me'elam mikol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damiran b'yama v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba mit shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Osei shalom b'mruma, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and all of Israel. As together we say, Amen. Please be seated. We continue our Shabbat celebration tomorrow at 8:15 with Holy Scrollers, followed by Saturday morning minyan, as well as Atat Shabbat at 9 o'clock. Maybe in Teva, maybe inside, depending on the weather. We'll figure it out. Next week, there's no Shabbat services here at Temple Emanu-El. They are at the JCC. It's their community-wide Shabbat celebration. Bring a picnic to the JCC with other congregations starting at 6 o'clock, and then services are at 6:45. If the weather doesn't cooperate, we'll move inside at the JCC. And in a couple weeks, we will commemorate Tisha B'Av here on Wednesday with a service. And we have other great learning opportunities throughout the summer. A Bible class on Tuesdays. I'll be teaching a class about God. Let's talk about God on Thursdays. And soon we'll be preparing for the High Holy Days. There's also a Shabbat hike next week if you want to join us in Watchung Reservation. We'd love for you to join us and experience the nature. Thank you to Ben, thank you to Suzanne for celebrating and bringing the energy to Shabbat.
And then just one thing, this Wednesday at the First United Methodist Church on East Broad, the choir and Ben, Barry, and Suzanne and I will all be sharing selections of psalms from each of our traditions. All of the local churches and as well as our community will be there. So if you are free, it's at 7 p.m. And it's right on the corner of East Broad Street.
Yeah. So it's a nice connection with all the Westfield Clergy Association. We hope that you can join us for that special evening. Our closing song, Gesher Sar Me'od,
339.
339.